So you see my rectangle, correct? Okay. So you just do a file, and I'm recording this too. I'll send it to you. Import. We will do a down at the bottom here. Let me just make this smaller. It's kind of big. Down at the bottom, yep, that's what I'm going to do. So I'm choosing a JPEG. I'm going to import it as an image, and I'll just bring in this brick right here, and I'll click once and click a second time to place it, and then file import, bring in that one as an image. Doesn't matter, this scale right here. So as an image, they come in as a picture. If you have a surface like a rectangle, say if we had a rectangle, then when I do file import, there's two ways to import: as a texture, and then I bring this one in. So you need a surface to place it on, and when I place it on a surface, it repeats. Oh, sure. Okay, so you went to the the paint bucket, and then you probably like see here, select, you probably did like oh, okay, up there, and then you click this guy, and then you yeah, I'll really do it that way, but then, you know, say then you're like unlocking it and saying 1 inch or 1 foot. Let's just make it a square, and say okay, and there it is right there, and paint it, and that looks all goofy. Yeah, okay. So I mean, typically I don't really do it that way all the time. This one's like, because it's all goofy. I'll show you what I do. Kind of like I do it how you know. Let's just kind of start over here. Let's just erase everything. So these bricks right here. What are these? 8 by 2 or something? 4 by 8. Okay, so I'll just do 4. Oh wait, this is 8. So this is 8 inches, and that's 4 inches, and this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 20 inches. So 20. Yep. So this little piece of geometry right there, that little piece, that's view 2 bars, construction. Oh, it's already up there. Okay. So I just made that just because when I do a file import, this guy right here, he's already as a texture. Now when I bring it in, you know, it's already to the exact dimension, and I can hold down shift if I want, and while I'm doing it, then I can drag it right there. That way, you know, it's exactly 8 by you know, whatever you need it to be. So there's a couple things you can do. You can right click on textures and go to the word texture, and this is all recorded too. Go to position, and then I've got these little pins here, and I can actually click and hold down the green one and move it around if I want to. I can move the red one. I can rotate it if I want to rotate it. So that's another way to scale stuff. Now the other texture, let's just say it's let's just say we brought it in. We didn't really know the scale of it or whatnot, because these bricks are 8 inches by 8 inches by 4. Okay. So an easy way, or one way to kind of, let's just take this little thing right here. There's umpteen number of ways to do stuff. So I've isolated that little brick right there, and I'm just gonna take my eraser tool and erase everything else here. And I just want to make that brick, you know, 8 inches or 4 inches. So, you know, I'll just make like a little line, say like 4. This is just one way to do it. And I can take my scale tool if you've used that before. I'll just turn this one on so you can see. So there's a little scale tool right here, and so I can scale it so, you know, it is snapped to there, and I'm going to snap it to there. So now this is exactly 4 inches, and then this is going to be 8 inches. So then I just select my surface again, click on my scale tool, and drag it down. So now that's exactly 8 inches on the side. And the cool thing is that, you know, this little square is this whole entire thing. So now the texture is still there. It's just all kind of behind it. So And so if I move this over, I mean, it's still there. I just kind of scaled up that texture that way just by doing one little brick. Now all the bricks are 8 inches. So if I take like a big, huge surface over here, and I take my paint bucket, and now these two are at the exact texture that you need them to be. So if I do this one at 8 inches, and I'll just draw a little line like that, and like that, and like that, and like this. And this is where you're gonna have to know a couple things too. And then on the paint bucket, if you hold down, or if I'm on the select button, there's a little eyedropper right here. I can sample that and paint it in the middle. Click my eyedropper, sample this one and paint it in the middle, or paint it on the sides up here. So they're at the correct scale. We just need to kind of move them around. So what you can do is right click, go to the word texture position, and then I can, I'll move this red one, maybe snap it to the corner there. And then on this one, there's a couple options. Right click, texture position again, and I want to rotate it, so I can try to drag this, rotate it, but it's a little bit easier if I just right click and just say rotate 90. And then just let's see if I'm gonna put this one over here. And then this guy, I probably just need to right click, texture position, move that red one to the corner. And I can even, if you're on the paint bucket, you can hold on the Alt key and it will toggle to the eyedropper. You can paint that down there. Texture position. If you do accidentally hit the Shift key, those little guys kind of change. So you're not going to really use these, and you might skew it all. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about if you mess things up. Just do an undo and just kind of start over, like Control Z or undo. Texture position, and I right click and rotate this one 90. And then so for your middle guy, right texture position, here's the corner of him, and it's pretty good. I mean, you can kind of see, like, I can manipulate this texture a little bit. I'll update it a little bit. See this little, you'd probably be nice to have a little black, or see how the texture doesn't repeat perfectly right here. Yeah, so in Photoshop, other offset, this is where we can kind of offset the texture and fix it. So and let me just move this down here. So now I can actually, I can see where the seam is bad here, and then I would just have to go in here with the clone tool, which is over here, and I can hold down Alt, and then I can kind of clone this guy right here and just kind of fix the seam a little bit. Yeah, kind of messing up a little bit. So you do have to make it kind of like a nice repeatable texture, which takes a little bit of time. I can mess that up. Let me just I'll clean up a couple areas. Like this one can be cleaned up a little bit, and that one maybe. And like the brick doesn't match, so you kind of have to bring some red down there. Or like this brick right here. So you said you have a Photoshop person? Okay, so they can do this. If they watch this video, I mean, all I did is went to filter other offset, and you can even send them this video too and just scroll this part. They just have to go through here and just kind of like make it pretty. You can kind of see what I'm doing. Like this part right here is kind of tricky because there's like a it doesn't really repeat really nicely because you got these little squares, but ideally these are all, well, no, you guys could cut these, couldn't you? But you wouldn't necessarily cut them in the middle. Yeah, so it gets kind of tricky. You'd probably have to yeah, this is a very difficult pattern to repeat. Well, the thing is, it can't repeat just because it's never really a there's no square. Like looking for a square in here somewhere, there's no place that it can be a square, really. Yeah. All right. let's do it a different way in SketchUp then. So texture position. Well, if you wanted to, you'd have to do something like so I put a line right there, and then I will see if this I can texture position. I can flip it up down. Let's see if that works out a little. Yeah, it's kind of goofy. Yeah, I can slide that. Yeah, because you'd have to have the thing that would be better is if you had a bigger texture. In Photoshop here, if I had a texture that was like, I'd probably just make a bigger one for myself. And then let me see over here. Yeah, you have to, if I had a texture that was big enough that could be stretched for that entire patio, then I'd be all good. You just need a bigger texture. Because right now, that texture supports a patio that is 4 feet, 4 feet by, 5 feet by 4 feet or whatnot. So if you had a texture that's, just ginormous, 20 feet by 20 feet or 40 feet by 40 feet, you can do it in Photoshop. Just take a little bit of, playing around with lining up some stuff. Like this one, yeah, that one lines up just fine. See that? Okay. You see how, like, I was able to kind of, like, or where did that go here? See how I can line this up like this? Yeah, so, you can make a bigger texture. You just have to, keep on working in Photoshop. Let me resume, open. This guy, image mode, RGB. It's already RGB, so that's cool. Okay. So I'm just gonna crop this because it doesn't need to be so big. I'll crop it to oops, dang it, that worked. Huh. Oh, that's cool. Never done that. Okay, alright. And then save it. Like that looks good. SketchUp. Alright, so now when I bring this one in, I'm just going to do this a different way. It's a little faster for me. This is like 8 inches. So once you get this one brought in here and scaled correctly, you could go like trace these pieces and maybe it would work out this way. This is what I was trying to do kind of in Photoshop. Do you still see my screen okay? Okay. Almost there. And there we go. Boom, 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 boom. So you can do that, I'm sure, right? Just drawing rectangles in the eraser tool. So I'm gonna just make it double click on it and make it a group, and then I'm gonna see if I can, see how that kind of slides over to that piece right there. Yep, and this guy will go into there, and yeah, exactly. And this one, it's actually I'd rather make this a right click, make it a component, just because when you are copying all your little squares, you see how that doesn't line up perfectly right there. You know, I'd probably have to fix that, and I'll send you this file too so that you can have it. But remember when I was originally going around with the rectangle tool, making these rectangles and cutting it? You'd have to make sure every single rectangle was the exact same size, because you know, because when I move this one down into this little slot down here, you see how like it doesn't like fit perfectly, because I was just going like really fast. Yeah, so if I just go back, like all these little rectangles that I made here, if I wanted to do it a little bit more precise, you know, I could use like the tape measure tool, and if I can draw and like I can drag these little dimensions over a bit. So when I make this rectangle, actually, yeah, so so this rectangle, once I make that rectangle, I'd have to cut it in half, like, oh, I don't even know. I'd have to I have to make sure that I, you know, copy it over. I can only copy this rectangle. I can't make new rectangles, because then it'll fit nicely. But then you probably want to use this tape measure tool and bring this down here. Yeah. So that one, and then oh, also like this rectangle too. I would also want to make sure to reuse it, because that's got the size I need for the top pieces. This gets kind of tricky, because this little piece of geometry right there has to fit into this little piece down here, and you can see like when I already copy it down, you can kind of see like there's already a little white space, so we'd have to like kind of, okay, sure, but I mean this would kind of get you off in the right start, and yeah, so then, you know, I can bring this down here and, you know, just make sure there's little holes, and then, you know, you can have your repeatable texture. I'll just move this up like 1 inch, just give you an idea. So cool. So I'll save this video, I'll send it to you, and hopefully you're good to go. I'll save this file too. Yeah, no problem. Have a good one.